In the
Two
middle.
mid.
Oh, Griffin got him.
They're all coming this way.
My guns don't reload. That's enough for me.
What is going on, everyone? Griffin here, coming at you with some Lancer gameplay, and today we're going to be talking about Team Deathmatch and the problem that is in Team Deathmatch. So let's head over and check it out. So I have been playing Team Deathmatch a little bit more here lately. See the Glimpse video this week as the reason why that's been going on. But I have noticed some very apparent flaws with Team Deathmatch specifically. And I know Team Deathmatch is one of those game modes that a lot of people like. A lot of people gravitate towards Team Deathmatch because you can jump in, you can complete challenges very quickly, you can level guns up very quickly, you can just turn your brain off and just not worry about anything, not worry about your KDA or anything like that. You can just run around and try to have a good time and then enjoy, you know, what the game has to offer in that respect. But there's a lot of limitations and a lot of drawbacks specifically with Team Deathmatch and Rogue Company. And one of the biggest drawbacks, in my opinion, one of the biggest factors that makes it less enjoyable than it could be is specifically the amount of players that are playing in the game at one time. It is 6v6 Team Deathmatch. First of all, Switch does not have access to 6v6 Team Deathmatch. So one of your major console ports of this game has no access to this whatsoever. Whenever you're playing 6v6 Team Deathmatch and you're playing with a team that has maybe a Vi on both sides, maybe they have a Switchblade on both sides, maybe they have a Demo on both sides, you continue to stack up all of these like game-changing, you know, abilities into one game, into one match, and when they are all happening simultaneously, it runs terribly. It runs like shit, just to be completely honest with you. But one of the biggest things that I feel like that they could do personally is possibly consider, instead of doing a 6v6, dropping it down to a 5v5, because you're going to see a common theme through this whole entire video as to why it feels like it feels and how it could feel better. And a lot of it points back to the idea of the 6v6. Now, with the gadget cooldown system, Team Deathmatch has become incredibly much more bearable to be able to jump in and play it, because you're not getting spammed constantly from people respawning. You also see a lot of people that were really good at Team Deathmatch become really bad at Team Deathmatch because they can't rely on those gadgets to be able to boost their performance in game. I mean, that's just the sad reality of it. Now, one of the other major factors that I feel that cripples the game is specifically the respawns, right? So the respawns in Rogue Company has been very much a topic of debate over the last I guess the last year or so. Whenever they introduced Team Deathmatch and Strikeout and other respawn game modes, there've always been a conversation in some capacity about the respawns in Rogue Company. And the respawns in Rogue Company are not great. They've never been great, and it's going to take a lot of work to get the respawns to be where they need to be in the game. I feel like a lot of it has to do with the 6v6 thing, because whenever you have 6 people playing against 6 other people on maps that are designed for 4v4 tactical gameplay, then how do you program something in order to find a correct location to spawn? Because there's always going to be people that are going to be somewhere. There's always going to be someone that's going to be very close to you when you respawn inevitably. And then you have to die a couple of times before you get that optimal respawn location. And that's, to me, one of the biggest factors is the fact that it's 6v6, because the maps are not big enough for this type of this player count. At the end of the day, it just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel rewarding for anybody. And I know that there's a lot of people that swear by Team Deathmatch and Rogue Company, and if that's your game mode, that's fine. It's not for everybody. I get that. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't feel like it's where it needs to be with hardly any of the respawn modes. Like Sabotage is the same way. The Sabotage respawns did not feel good. The Strikeout respawns do not feel good. The Team Deathmatch respawns do not feel good. The only respawns that feel good is Dodgeball. And the reason why is because it's 4v4 or even 6v6 it felt better. And you have to eliminate someone to bring somebody back. So you only have 6v6 on that Dodgeball match whenever you first drop into it, and then once people start whittling other people down, then it's no longer a 6v6. It turns into a 6v5 and then a 6v4 and then a 5v5. You know what I'm saying? It never gets back up to that 6v6 because of the way that the mechanics in that game mode work. So I feel like if they could go in and possibly bring that player count down from 6v6 down to 5v5, or create maps specifically for the 6v6 game modes, I would be okay with that if they would take like a standard map, let's say Vice, and then they took half of another map and made it that size and just made it basically make it 50% larger in order to be able to have these respawns happen, you know, tactically around the map so that you don't feel like you're at disadvantage when people respawn, or when you respawn, you don't feel like you're at disadvantage and you can actually like work your way around the map and enjoy how this situation is going instead of it being a situation where you spawn in and it just feels bad and you don't like it. Another thing that they could incorporate that might work is the way to go in there and choose where to respawn or choose who to respawn on. So if you're playing 6v6 and you're playing with, let's say, 2 or 3 other people, let's say they're doing their thing, and they're in a safe spot. They don't see anybody around them. They can say, hey, I'm good, respawn on me. And you click it, and it respawns you right next to that person. And then if they're in a gunfight, then don't allow them to respawn there. Tell them that there's too many enemies nearby, and it's not a safe spawn site. And do something like that to where you can kind of control where you come back. And I think something like that might be interesting in like Sabotage as well, where like, okay, you have the bomb, your team has the bomb, you can't spawn over here because people are over here, but you can spawn over here, so you choose to spawn over here. It's not as close to like where the plant site is, but it's close enough that you can get there fairly quickly and help back the team up in that regard. Same thing with Team Deathmatch. If there's a clear spawn site, then, you know, it should allow you to pick that clear spawn site to be able to spawn back in. But if your friends or whoever you're playing with is in a decent position to get back into the gunfights a little bit sooner, but there's no enemies around them, then be able to just spawn off of those people. I mean, that could be an interesting concept. I know it would take a lot of work, and I know it would take a lot of time to be able to incorporate something like that into the game, but that may make it feel better. So my suggestions to make Team Deathmatch feel better are either reduce it down to 5v5 and see how that feels, either make the maps 50% larger so that you have more play area and more available respawns, or give us the ability to go in there and choose where we respawn, lock out certain respawn points whenever there's enemies nearby, and possibly be able to respawn off of your teammates whenever they are not in gunfights and nobody is around them. But be sure to let me know what you think in the comments down below. I know that I haven't played a lot of Team Deathmatch in Rogue Company. Like, I've played it off and on here and there just to try to like test different things out. And since they incorporated the gadget cooldown system, and since we had a 5th that wanted to play with us, then I was like, okay, now is the perfect time to hop in, experience Team Deathmatch with these new mechanics, and then see how I feel about it after that. It is much more bearable with the gadget cooldown system. Spawns still suck. It is what it is. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. Also, be sure to check that description for links to Facebook, Discord, and Twitter. Those are the places to contact me. And if you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you've already subscribed to the channel, then consider hitting that join button to become one of the 256 crew members. And lastly, on Thursdays from 8 until 11 p.m. and Sundays from 10 a.m. until we get tired, I will be streaming here on YouTube. So if you're interested and available, please feel free to stop by and say hello there. Thanks for watching, guys.
Way to level guns up.
It is, though. Yeah. That's why they play it. You just imagine how fast you beat the battle pass with that.
Yeah, right.
A couple of weeks? You played every day?